This kill zone stands on a vital point of high ground, overlooking both yours and the enemy's lines. Whoever can gain control of the area will have an unsurpassed vantage point from which to observe enemy movements. Hello and welcome to JamHammer. In this video, we're going to see a kill team of crafty Ork Kommandos face off against a squad of stalwart Veteran Guardsmen from the Death World of Krieg. These elite forces will be undertaking Mission 1-1 from the Octarius mission pack, Reconnoitre. Apologies to the francophone peoples of the world for my pronunciation. The mission features 4 vantage points, which are these heavy terrain pieces in each table quadrant. An active operative who is standing on one of these pieces, without any enemy operatives also being on the terrain, can spend an action point to recon it, and will score a certain number of victory points for their team. As you can see from this table, the amount of VP increases depending on how far this terrain is from the active operative's deployment zone. So, recon point A here is worth nothing to the attacking team as it falls within their deployment zone. This same piece, however, is worth 3 points if a member of the defending team manages to get all the way over there to recon it. This will be a matched play mission, so we already have the objectives and kill zones set out. Now, my partner and I will roll off to determine attacker and defender. I'm rolling the white die for this video, while my partner is using the orange. And it's a draw, so we'll be re-rolling. And it's another draw! Third time's the charm, and I win the roll-off. I opt to play as the attacker, so I'll be setting up my kill team second in the far deployment zone. First though, let's introduce the kill teams. I'll be fielding the dogged veterans from Krieg, and for this mission, I'll be bringing a zealot, a demolition veteran, a confidant with bolt pistol and chainsword, a medic, a spotter, a comms veteran, a sniper, a gunner with a plasma gun, a hardened veteran, and leading them will be a sergeant wielding a power sword and plasma pistol. I've also opted for 2 tactical assets to be my ancillary support. I'm going for marked airstrike and strafing run to hopefully help me thin out this rabble. Speaking of which, the commando kill team will be comprised of a Dakka boy, a burner boy, a slasher boy, a regular old commando boy, a breacher boy, a rocket boy, a sniper boy, a bomb squig, a grot, and leading the mob will be a knob with a behemoth power claw and slugger. We arranged our TAC Ops decks according to our archetypes and have drawn our 3 secondary missions for this game too. I'm using the black cards, so the Veteran Guardsmen will be trying to seize ground, hold the line, and plant a banner. I've selected the central oil derrick as the heavy terrain I'll need to control for scoring this, and my banner runner will be the most resilient soldier on my roster, the hardened vet. Unbeknownst to me at the time, the commandos will be trying to complete interloper, get stuck in, and have a deadly marksman. Their interloper is their sneaky grot, while their marksman will, quite appropriately, be the sniper boy. We've kept equipment pretty simple. The Veteran Guardsmen with lasguns all have hot shot capacitor packs to up their damage, and all of the Ork Kommandos have been given climbing ropes to improve their manoeuvrability across the kill zone. Starting with the defender then, we'll set up a few barricades. First one of these is going over on the left flank here to fill in the gap between the table edge and recon point C. Attacker now, and I place mine in a similar place on the edge by recon point B. Another goes in the centre by that derrick, and the final one is going onto the other table edge near point A. Onto deployment, and it's the defender, the commandos, to set up first. We've got the little guys hunkering down behind a piece of rubble in the centre, while half of the forces deploy out of line of sight behind recon point D. The knob is set up with the sniper boy and burner boy on the opposite side using a ramshackle wall for cover. All the commandos are being deployed with the conceal order, so these will be tricky to engage. The commandos are spending one of their starting CP right away on sneaky git, allowing their slasher boy to deploy right next to recon point B. A great move, as not only is this unit a powerhouse in close combat, but has been placed in a prime location to score early on. Over to the attacker's deployment now, the Veteran Guardsmen, and I've split my forces in two. On one flank I have my melee fighters hoping to remove that pesky slasher boy, while the bulk of my shooty forces are hunkered down out of line of sight behind recon point A. I'm being cautious and set up all of my operatives with concealed orders as well, hoping to get them into cover before opening up with a withering salvo of lasfire. We reveal our scouting options. I've gone with infiltrate, allowing me to change the order for one of my guardsmen in the first phase, while the commandos have opted for recon, allowing a free dash action for one of their units. They do this now, and the bomb squig is scuttled behind some obscuring terrain. This means that I, the Veteran Guardsman, will have initiative as we go into the first turning point. So first things first, I get another CP bringing me up to 3. I then reveal my first attack op, Seize Ground, and declare they'll be trying to take the central oil derrick. My sergeant gives their first order too, which will be move, move, move to try and get my operatives into some advantageous positions. No strategic ploys from me or the commandos, and they get their CP back too, bringing them up to 2 again. Into the firefight phase, and I activate my comms vet. He spends an action point on relay orders, so now my whole kill team has an extra inch of movement. And the second AP goes on signal, granting an extra AP to the sergeant. The commandos activate their slasher boy, and putting the climbing rope to good use, scale up the side of recon point B. The second AP is spent on recon vantage point, and that's an early 2 victory points for the commandos. Very unimpressed by the shrewd tactics of these beasts, the veteran sergeant is activated next to administer some harsh vengeance. I opt to make him the target of my infiltrate scouting option and change his order to engage. He has a clear view of the slasher boy perched above and opens fire with the plasma pistol using the standard profile. 4 shots for this, and it's a great result with 1 hit and 2 crits. Slasher boy rolls for defense and gets a critical save, but that means 11 damage goes through, and this orc is obliterated and removed from play. Should note that the plasma pistol is AP1, so this should have just been 2 defense dice rolls, but didn't make any difference anyway. With his remaining AP, the sergeant hops over the wall and obscures himself from view inside the heavy terrain, but elects not to use the extra one. Onto the commandos, and the Grot has his beady eyes on the prize, recon point A. He fires his grappling hook and zips across the kill zone, perching on top of the terrain. With the other AP, he recons and scores a whopping 3 VP for the team, putting them to an amazing early lead of 5 points. Desperate to make up some ground, the Confidant veteran is activated next and issues a directive allowing the medic to activate immediately afterwards. The Confidant uses both AP to move and dash up onto recon point B and takes cover behind the parapet. The medic goes next and follows suit. The sniper boy is activated now and using his climbing rope too, gets into position on top of point C for 1 AP. Then spends the other on a recon action, securing the maximum 6 VP for the commandos this turning point. A tremendous start for them that's going to take some real beating. The veterans move their plasma gunner out to take cover behind the central wall. The commandos counter with their rocket boy and hop him up on top of recon point D. With no points available for this terrain feature though, this ends his activation. The veterans activate their zealots and, unable to charge or shoot that pesky grot, they move and dash up onto point A, so at least it's protected for now from further recon actions next turn. The commandos make use of their Breacher Boy's ability to move him directly through the heavy terrain and put him out of sight behind the central derrick, and stacking some AP on it that will need to be removed if the veterans want to score for their Seize Ground secondary. With this in mind, the veterans move their demo expert out to join the gunner in the middle table too, taking cover behind that wall, while the commandos activate their burner boy and move him into cover behind their deployed barricade. To gain some elevation and hopefully start clearing out some of these targets next turn, the veterans move their sniper into a good shooting position on top of point A, and ensure that they are more than an inch from the grot, so just outside engagement range. Few more moves setting everyone into place now, with the Dakka boy hopping onto the terrain piece for an elevated shooting platform, and the hardened vet coming around to the central wall, hoping to run the mana through to the commando's deployment zone. The squig sprints from their position and sneaks out of line of sight deep within that central oil derrick, putting them dangerously close to the veterans. To try and flush this beastie out, the spotter jumps up onto the wall too, ready to reveal targets for the sniper. The commando leader leaves their starting position and joins his comrades on the vantage point of Recon Point C. With the Ork leader exposed, the Veteran Guardsmen see a play. Their sniper can draw a line of sight to their commando counterpart on the terrain opposite. They take this opportunity to use one of their tactical assets and call in a strafing run. The incoming Imperial air support will fire off a volley all along the commando's newly deployed defensive line along the rickety rooftops, striking 4 targets in total. Beginning with the first target, the sniper boy, and rounds come whizzing through the sky, exploding all around him, and score 3 hits as well as a crit. The sniper boy rolls for defense, and in a preternatural display of acrobatics for an orc, manages to dodge and deflect 2 hits and a crit, meaning that only 2 rounds find their mark and do 4 damage. The plane continues its run, and more rounds slam into the orc's leader, but only half of these connects, although 1 is a critical strike. Rolling for his defense, and not quite as lucky as the sniper boy, manages just 1 save, but a good one and negates the crit. The other 2 shots go through for 4 damage again. The strafing run goes down the line and peppers the side of the second structure. The rocket boy has the foresight to duck into cover behind the terrain though, so gets to retain 1 dice as an automatic save. With just 1 bullet hitting the orc, it's a critical wound, and double 1s for the saves means the rocket boy takes 3 damage. The plane careens over the kill zone and with 1 last flurry of shots, zips away across the Octarius sector. The Dakka boy is hit 3 times before it passes over though, and only manages to save 1 of these, meaning a wound and a crit go through for the biggest result for this strafing run, 5 damage. With the orcs hunkered down in cover, the last remaining boy pokes his head out to check the coast is clear, then scurries as fast as possible around the building and slides into cover behind the other placed barricade. A very exciting first turning point then, with the commandos scoring big and the veteran guardsmen setting up a firing line before devastating the orc defences with some Imperial air support, softening up their targets, ready for the next turning point. Into the second turning point then, and the commandos, still recovering from the shock assault after seizing so much ground, fail to take the initiative, and it will be the veterans going first again. They begin by accruing another CP, going up to 4 now, but anticipating some retaliatory fire, are spending this straight away on the take cover strategic ploy. The sergeant is giving a command again, but hoping to bring the pain too, has told his nearby troops to take aim. Finally, with their gun line armed and reinforced, the guard reveal their hold the line tac-op. The commandos are curiously quiet though, and accrue their CP with no ploys played and no tac-ops revealed. What are they scheming? Spotting that the squig has rushed dangerously close to their lines, the zealot takes aim with his lasgun after offering an uplifting primer to their sniper comrade. Knowing the damage this bomb-strapped beast can wreak does nothing to steady their shots though, and only a single one strikes the squig. Even with a pitiful 6-up save, the squig manages to deflect this meagre offering, and is unscathed. Before any more shots rain down on it, the squig is activated next, and barrels headfirst into the guard and detonates in a thunderous explosion. All 3 veterans are perfectly spaced to feel the full brunt of this blast as it tears through their flimsy cover. Going down the line then, and the hardened veteran is attacked first. And it's not looking good for him. All the squig's attacks hit, and the AP one means only 2 attempts to save them from damage. And both fail. Since the explosion negates cover, this means that the strategic ploy won't help here, and the hardened vet is hit full in the face by 20 damage. He gets a 5-up feel no pain, so here it is. 20 shrugs. He passes a few, but there's just no way, and he's evaporated, leaving a smoking banner behind and forcing me to reveal my third tac op. The demo vet now, clearly not used to being on this side of a devastating explosion, is hit 4 times too. Snake Eyes for the save means another overkill of 20 damage, more than enough to leave him an ironically smouldering pile of blast-proof armour. And lastly, the Plasma Gunner is caught by 3 hits. He does manage to save one, but that's still 2 going through for 10 damage, which is enough to wipe him out too. Absolute carnage. The lowly squig has completely decimated my central forces, meaning my kill team is split to the 2 flanks now. I've dropped the banner for my tac op, and the oil derrick necessary for seizing ground is completely unchecked. The Veteran Guardsmen really need the light of the Emperor to shine down upon them if they are to have any chance of winning this one. Witnessing this massacre, the Confidant pulls out his comms and orders in swift retribution, a marked airstrike. The Veteran's second and last tactical asset is placed squarely on the regular commando boy's head, meaning that the percussive blast will be wide enough to strike the rocket boy and breacher boy. Going from left to right again then, and rolling for damage against the breacher boy first, I get 4 hits. The breacher gets a critical save to negate 1, but 3 go through for a nice 9 points of damage, bringing him down to a single wound remaining, and reducing his efficiency in combat with injuries. The roaring incendiary engulfs the regular commando boy, but only 2 hits go through, and he manages to save 1, meaning just 3 damage. And finally, the rocket boy in the parapet is smashed with 3 critical hits. Opting to roll all 3 defense dice to try and deflect these, and 1 is successful, but the other 2 fail, and that's 8 damage. The rocket boy was already plinked by the strafing run, so this finishes him off and he's removed from play. The commandos activate the grot and zipline down to the ground into my deployment zone. Then remove him from play, his mission accomplished. My partner now reveals the interloper tac op, meaning that she scores 2 victory points for completing this successfully and goes up to 8 VP already. A cataclysmic opening salvo and another bump in points mean the commandos have wiped out 3 veterans and are now flying ahead with 8 victory points to my nothing. Time to bring the pain and eradicate these orcs. The spotter uses his ability to indicate the hiding sniper boy as a target for the veteran sniper who activates next. The guardsman levels his sights on the greenskin ducked into cover, exhales steadily, and fires the long las. He misses 1, but 2 hit and another crit, immediately inflicting 3 mortal wounds on the sniper boy. The orc is in cover, so retains an automatic successful save, then rolls the other 2. These fail, meaning another 6 damage. The sniper boy was also damaged by the strafing run, and these long las wounds are enough to slay him and is removed as a casualty. The orc lines are looking a bit thin now, and the knob is activated to issue an order to the breacher boy to get it done. The knob holds his ground though and uses his AP to recon point C for another victory point, bringing the commandos up to 9 VP. The comms vet is activated and relays the sergeant's order to the rest of the kill team so that all of the guard are now re-rolling 1s to hit. He then leaps over the wall and tucks out of sight underneath recon point B. The orc breacher, smelling cowardly oomies hiding from a fight, bursts out of cover towards the same recon point. But, due to his injuries, can't make the full distance to charge into combat, and instead takes cover against the building too. The Confidant, seeing that the orc is grievously wounded, gives the medic a directive to activate next, then leaps over the parapet, combat rolls behind the scrap pile, and squeezes off some explosive shells at point blank range into the side of the breacher's helmeted head. In all the cool heroic action, he didn't aim his weapon too well, and just about manages to ping 2 shells off the orc. He has been commanded to take aim however, and gets to re-roll the 1, and still fails. The breacher boy rolls their defense dice though, and these 2 shots go through. The orc slumps down, dead. The medic comes up from cover next and is given the command to engage. They squeeze off a few high-powered beams from their hotshot lasgun aimed at the wounded boy down below. 2 shots hit, with 1 being a crit. The boy gets an auto-save, rolls the other 2, but fails to negate the crit and suffers 4 damage. This is enough to injure him as well. Most importantly though, the medic takes this opportunity to recon point B and scores the first victory point for the veteran team. Noticing that most of the firefight is happening across the kill zone, the burner boy is activated and dashes at full pelt towards the veterans' lines, getting within range to block them from scoring for their hold the line tack up. The sergeant, not wanting to be gunned down by the Dakka boy opposite, bravely hugs the wall and goes back into concealment. The Dakka boy instead unleashes their shooter at the medic, but their quite erratic shooting means that only 2 hit their target. My partner spends a CP to reroll that one into another one. My guardsman gets an automatic save, and rolling the other 2 gets another save, and my medic is saved the pain of having to perform first aid on himself. With no more operatives left to activate, the veterans get a chance for an overwatch shot. And the medic is really not best pleased at being shot at, so he retaliates and opens up with the lasgun again, this time returning fire at the Dakka boy. Firing at a reduced ballistic skill here, as this is a snapshot, and only manages the 1 hit. But still, being under orders from the sergeant means a reroll that turns that 1 into a crit. The Dakka boy auto-saves, then rolls the other 2, but can't deflect the crit, and takes 4 damage, reducing him to a single wound and injuring him. The injured boy, spitting rage and blood, clambers over the barricade, gets into range, and fires a few thundering rounds from his slugger into the confidant veteran. Even with the wounds reducing his ballistic skill, the boy manages to land a hit and 2 crits. The confidant gets an automatic save, but needs at least 1 crit now to save his life. He can hear the heavenly choirs calling him home. And let me just cut to the game audio now. Oh! The Emperor reaches down and stops the bullets, and there's not a scratch on our confidant. An epic second turning point as the commandos solidify their lead, but the veteran guardsmen valiantly fought back and wiped quite a few orcs from the board. Dug in with good firing lanes now, our Imperial team needs to seize on these gains and start clawing some points back. Still stunned by the miraculous saves, the veterans finally lose the initiative roll-off on a draw, and the commandos will be going first. They gain back a CP going up to 3, but again, no ploys or reveals. Myself on the other hand, I sense a conflagration in the air, so I gain a CP, then spend 1 on take cover again to boost my save, and another on into the breach, allowing me to move these grouped guardsmen and hopefully save them all from being engulfed in another fell swoop. Finally, wanting to squeeze a bit more movement out of my admittedly poorly deployed operatives, I call another order to move, hoping to get the sergeant and comms somewhere more useful. Deploy proves a wise move as the burner boy is activated first. Instead of letting loose with the burner now though, he throws his climbing rope up onto the building and charges straight into combat with the zealot vet, and gives him the 1-2 punch. Into the fight then, and the burner boy only gets 2 hits, while the vet gets a hit and a crit. Having started the melee, the burner boy parries one of the zealot's bayonet thrusts, and, in turn, the zealot uses his bayonet to parry away a death strike from the orc. An impasse. Starting to become my most valuable player, the medic is activated next, and carries on blasting away at the Dakka boy. 2 hits, a crit, but, unfortunately, has no take aim order to reroll the 1 this time. The Dakka boy gets his autosave, passes another, but fails the 3rd. Not willing to let him go, my partner spends a CP on a reroll, hoping for a 6, but it's a 5, meaning the crit goes through, and finally, the Dakka boy guarding recon point D is slain. Infuriated by the confidant's acrobatics, the boy moves up around the flank and shoots from close range. But only 1 shot hits. Can the confidant do it again? Yes! There it is, another 6 as he backflips out of the way of the slug and lands smoothly on his feet. Is that a smug smirk under the gas mask there? Time to show these orcs how to really wield a pistol. The Confidant is activated next, and is so self-satisfied, forgets to issue a directive, but instead returns fire at the boy with his bolt pistol. Every shot lands. The Commando manages to stop 2, but fails the other, and 2 go through, bringing the boy down. The Confidant now skips away and artfully clears the debris, finishing his activation at the base of Recon Point D. The final activation for the Commandos, the Knob, continues to hold its ground and only spends a single AP on a recon action for another VP, bringing their team total to 10 victory points. Activate the comms operative next and move and dash him as close to the central oil derrick as possible. Then do the same with the sergeant, hoping to secure this terrain piece for a few VP by the end of the battle. Now I face a conundrum. The burner boy is locked in combat, so I can't shoot him. He can Overwatch shoot his burner to devastating effect, and he's superior in close combat to my zealot vet. But I need this thing dead so I can score a VP for hold the line. After much deliberation, I decide to fall my zealot back and see if I can get him onto Recon Point C, and hope that my remaining operatives can withstand the Overwatch, then shoot the burner boy off the terrain. The burner boy, as predicted, fires Overwatch against my sniper. Hitting on 3s instead of 2s, thank goodness, and it's just 2 successful hits. I roll for defense and fail them all. So 4 damage goes through and my sniper is injured but alive. The sniper is activated now and shoots their long las into the uncomfortably close orc. Hitting on 3s now due to the injuries, and still manages to hit with them all. The burner boy rolls for defense and passes 2, meaning only 6 damage goes through, leaving him injured but alive too. Not good enough. I activate the spotter next, and he shoots his lasgun at the boy. He must clearly have broken under the pressure though, because every shot fails to hit. This is no good, so I spend a CP on combined arms, and get to reroll all of my shots. And that's still only 1 hit. Wish I had the take aim order even more now. The burner rolls to defense again and passes, meaning no damage at all. This is going from bad to worse, and has just cost me a much needed victory point. At the end of turning point 3 then, and the Commandos are still way ahead with 10 victory points, while the Veteran Guardsmen are stuck with 2 VP and a burner boy behind their lines. The pressure must be getting to my kill team as they lose the initiative again, and the Commandos will be taking the first turn in our final turning point. The Commandos get a CP going up to 3, and the Veterans get 1 as well, going up to 2. No further ploys or reveals occur, but the Sergeant gives an order to take aim again. Wanting to cement their victory, the Knob is activated first and is given the engage order. They level their slugger at the approaching zealot and fire off a few rounds. This orc must have been elected leader for reasons other than accuracy though, as they score 1 crit and 3 misses. Another CP is spent on reroll, but this comes back a 3 and goes wide too. Roll for defense, and the zealot gets a double crit, completely saving them from harm. The Emperor protects. The Knob then spends their second AP on performing a recon action, and they score another victory point for their team, dialing them up to 11. A risky play here, but I'm hoping that I can use the sniper to eradicate that Knob off the recon point. I activate my MVP medic across the way and fire on the burner boy. A pretty disastrous display, but do score a crit, which would be enough to kill him with the medic's hotshot capacitor. The burner rolls for defense, and no crit. But another CP is spent on a reroll. Can it be done? Yes! Absolutely played for and got, but the burner lives to burn another day. The medic then performs a recon action, getting me 1 VP for a total of 3. Lo and behold, the burner boy sparks up his weapon and fires a gout of burning pain at my sniper. All but one find their mark, and one critical save isn't enough, so the sniper is melted down. But wait, a guardsman from Krieg isn't one to let a pesky thing like death set him back. No, in death atonement. I spend a CP bringing me down to 1 remaining, and my sniper is back, uninjured and unimpressed. He fires his long las with revenant accuracy and lands 3 hits and a crit. The crit does 3 mortal wounds, and finally, these 2 battling titans come crashing down and are removed from the table. The veterans activate the comms operative next and move him up into range of the central oil derrick, plus into line of sight of the Ork leader. He shoots with his hotshot lasgun and hits twice, re-rolling the 1 due to the sergeant's order. And that's 2 hits and a crit. The knob gets an autosave, rolls, and manages to get a critical save too, so just 3 damage going through, but enough to injure him. The knob, not wanting to lose face, is activated for Overwatch and targets the Zealot again. Owing to his injuries, he only manages 2 hits, and the vet isn't in cover, so no autosave. Rolling for defense, and 1 is saved, but the crit goes through and is enough to injure the Zealot. I completely forgot at this point that he had an ability to reroll any failed saves against a shooting attack. The sergeant wants the final say and moves up into range of the derrick and the knob too. He charges his plasma pistol to standard and squeezes off 4 shots. 2 hits and a crit. He'll probably re-roll the 1 due to the take aim order, but I'm never too sure on if these affect the unit giving them. But the knob rolls their defense dice and manages to block the successful hit, but not the crit, and this is more than enough to fell the last remaining Ork. The only other activation of merit is the Confidant, who flips up onto point D and performs a recon action, scoring 3 victory points for the veterans, bringing them up to 6 VP. In the post-battle phase then, the guardsmen finally manage to clear the burner boy from their lines for another VP, and they have 2 operatives within an inch of their selected heavy terrain piece, scoring them 2 more victory points for seized ground, bringing them up to a total of 9 victory points. Looking back now, I can see that I had accidentally, and fortuitously, blocked my partner off from her other TAC ops by stopping multiple commandos from reaching my deployment zone and assassinating the marksman sniper boy early on. Close in the end then, but our clear winners are the commandos, whose brutal and precise opening gambit secured them an insurmountable lead of 11 victory points. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking it, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the bell to be notified of new videos being released. I really enjoyed this game, and it just goes to show how opting to play the objectives over taking out the opposing team will win the match in the end. My partner used the extra maneuverability of the commandos really well to get them into some high scoring areas right from the start, while the veterans were stuck shooting and slogging their way across the board. Although I wiped the orcs from the board, I was quite pinned into my edge of the table by the ranged commandos. These were well set up in prime defensive positions, which allowed them to hold my guardsmen off long enough to maintain that early lead. Plus, sneaking that burner boy along the flank put some real pressure on what I dismissed as a safe vantage point, blocking out my best remaining long-range gun, and stopping me from taking up a few VP with my TAC op. A Pyrrhic victory for the Orks in the Octarius sector then, with them successfully managing to recon the Imperial lines at the cost of their kill team. But there's plenty more where they came from. There'll be more kill team videos being released soon, so please do keep an eye out for new content coming soon to JamHammer. In the meantime, there are plenty of other videos available on the channel, including a few that are on screen now for you to click on. Thanks again for watching.